Use of direction. The next use shall be of direction to some special means for keeping the heart. And here, besides what has been hinted in the explication of the duty at the beginning of this discourse, to which I refer the reader, and all those directions throughout the whole, appropriated to particular cases and seasons, I shall add several other general means of excellent use to this end. Means 1. Would you thus keep your hearts as has been persuaded? Then furnish your hearts richly with the Word of God, which is their best preservation against sin. Keep the Word, and the Word will keep you. As the first receiving of the Word regenerated your hearts, so the keeping of the Word within you will preserve your hearts. Colossians chapter 3, verse 16. Let the Word of Christ dwell richly in you. Let it dwell, not tarry with you for a night, and let it dwell richly or plentifully in all that is of it, in its commands, promises, and threats, in all that is in you, in your understandings, memories, consciences, and affections, and then it will preserve your hearts. Psalm 119, verse 11. Thy word have I hid in mine heart, that I might not sin against thee. It is the slipperiness of our hearts, in reference to the Word, that causes so many slips in our lives. Conscience cannot be urged or awed with forgotten truths, but keep it in the heart, and it will keep both heart and life upright. Psalm 37, verse 31. The law of his God is in his heart. None of his steps shall slide. Or if he does, the Word will recover the straying heart again. Matthew chapter 26, verse 75. Then Peter remembered the word of Jesus, and wept bitterly. We never lose our hearts till they have first lost the efficacious and powerful impression of the Word. Means 2. Call your hearts frequently to an account, if ever you mean to keep them with God. Those who put a stock into the hands of unfaithful or suspicious servants will be sure to make short reckonings with them. The heart is deceitful above all things, and desperately wicked. Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 9. Oh, it is as necessary as it is sweet that we and our reins, that is, we and our secret thoughts, should confer together every night. Psalm 16, verse 7. We should call our hearts to account every evening and say, O my heart, where have you been today? Where have your thoughts been wandering today? What account can you give of them? O naughty heart, vain heart, could you not abide by the fountain of delights? Is there better entertainment with the creature than with God? The more often the heart meets with rebukes and checks for wandering, the less it will wander. If every vain thought were retracted with a sigh, every excursion of the heart from God with a severe check, it would not dare so boldly and frequently to digress and step aside. Those actions which are committed with reluctance are not committed with frequency. Means 3. He who will keep his heart must take heed of plunging himself into such a multiplicity of earthly business that he cannot manage without neglecting his main business. It cannot be imagined that he should keep his heart with God who has lost himself in a wood of earthly business. Take heed you do not pinch your souls by gratifying the immoderate desire of your flesh. I wish many Christians could truly say what a heathen Seneca once did. I do not give, but only lend myself to business. It is said that Germanicus reigned in the hearts of the Romans, Tiberius only in their provinces. Though the world is in your hands, let it not jostle Christ out of your hearts. Take heed, Christian, lest your shop steal away your heart from your closet. God never intended earthly employments to be a stop, but rather a step to heavenly ones. O let not Aristippus the heathen arise in judgment against you, who said he would rather neglect his means than his mind, his farm than his soul. If your ship is overloaded, you must cast some overboard. More business than you can well manage is like more meat than you can well digest, which will quickly make a sickly soul. Means 4. He who means to keep his heart must carefully observe its first declinings from God and stop it there. He who would find his house in good repair must stop every chink as soon as it is discovered, and he who would keep his heart must not let a vain thought be long neglected. The serpent of heart apostasy is best killed in the egg of a small remission of care. Oh, if many poor, decayed Christians had looked to their hearts in time, they would never have come to that sad pass they are now in. We may say of heart neglects as the apostle does of vain babblings. They increase to more and more ungodliness. Little sins neglected will quickly become great and masterless. The greatest crocodile once lay in an egg. The greatest oak was once but an acorn. The firing of a small train of powder may blow up all by leading to a greater quantity. Men little think what a proud, vain, wanton, or worldly thought may grow to. Behold how great a matter a little fire kindles. Means 5. Take heed of losing the liveliness and sweetness of your communion with God, lest thereby your hearts be pulled off from God. The heart is a hungry and restless thing. It will have something to feed upon. If it enjoys nothing from God, it will hunt for something among the creatures, and there it often loses itself as well as its end. There is nothing that more engages the heart to a constancy and evenness in walking with God than the sweetness which it tastes therein. Once the Gauls tasted the sweet wine of Italy, they could never be satisfied till they conquered the country where it grew. It is true that conscience of duty may keep the heart from neglecting it, but when there is no higher motive, it drives on without life and is filled with distractions. That which we delight in, we are never weary of, as is evident in the motions of the heart to earthly things, where the wheels, being oiled with delight, run nimbly and have no need of being pushed forward. The motions of the heart upwards would be as free if its delight in heavenly things were as great. Means 6. Habituate your heart to spiritual meditations if you would have it free from those burdensome diversions. By this means you will get a facility and dexterity in heart work. It is a pity that those smaller portions of our time between solemn duties should lie upon our hands and be rendered useless to us. Oh, learn to save and be good husbands upon your thoughts. To this purpose, a neat author, Boyle's Occasional Reflections, speaks. These parentheses, which happen to come between the more solemn passages, whether business or recreations, of human life, are wont to be lost by most men for want of a due value for them, and even by good men for want of skill to preserve them. For though they do not properly despise them, yet they neglect or lose them, for want of knowing how to rescue them, or what to do with them. But although grains of sand and ashes be apart, but of a despicable smallness, and liable to be scattered and blown away, yet the skilful artificer, by a vehement fire, brings numbers of those to afford him that noble substance, glass, by whose help we may both see ourselves and our blemishes lively represented, as in looking-glasses, and discern celestial objects, as with the telescopes, and with the sunbeams kindle disposed materials, as with burning glasses. So, when these little fragments or parcels of time, which if not carefully looked to would be dissipated and lost, come to be managed by a skillful contemplator, and to be improved by the celestial fire of devotion, they may be so ordered as to afford us both looking-glasses to dress our souls by, and perspectives to discover heavenly wonders and incentives to inflame our hearts with zeal. Something of that nature I am working on at present, if God gives life to finish and opportunity to produce. Certainly, this is a great advantage for keeping the heart with God,